As of the last year or so of my existence, I have been undergoing what I consider to be a purification process, only it's not trying to quit drugs or murder, but rather getting off my ass and playing games. Oh, the poor boy struggle to have all these nice games and never play a single one of them is what people would say if this wasn't the single most common problem among Steam users ever. Do you have a backlog? I had the idea of creating one last year and I never realized until now just how much money I spent with Steam only. It really is interesting to see just how much gaming has evolved in 20 or so years, from let's choose a cool new game to buy and spend a lot of time playing to that, but also hoarding discounted games like a dragon. I knew it was a prevalent problem, I just had not realized how much it affected me personally, and there are three main culprits I can point towards. In case you haven't realized, I have chosen to remain a virgin forever. These three games, man, fuck them. Rocket League, total playtime 4,000 hours. Genshin Impact, total playtime about 30 YouTube videos. Team Fortress 2, total playtime. Now, before you point your greasy fingers at me and start laughing because haha, the dumb man has been making dumb videos on a shit ass game, first off, don't, I might cry. And secondly, why? Why does this even happen? Why does my dumbass preference for 3 games prevent me from experiencing some of the greatest single-player games ever? And why is it that I continue to purchase all of these amazing games and just never play them? Mental disorder? I don't know what that means. Sometimes it seriously just feels like I'm not in control of my own body and my credit card just magically makes a $10 purchase because Killing Floor 1 and 2 are on sale. Well, nothing's gonna change if I myself don't try to change. Maybe a shift in mentality is all I need. Maybe all I need is a very convenient phone message from a friend telling me to play the game this video is about, which henceforth could serve as a perfect segue gag and direct me towards a new joke and segment in the video. Oh, wouldn't you know? Do I even have to do the whole thing or explain the game to anyone who hasn't played it? Obviously that's rhetorical because I'm the only person in the world who didn't know what NieR Automata was about up until recently. Rather until a year ago, but like, dude, it's part of the good year. You know, the good year, Cuphead, Mario Odyssey, Hollow Knight, Breath of the Wild, Sonic Mania, Insane Trilogy ahead in time that year. I've no idea why I hadn't played NieR Automata at this point. It's right up my alley, it's been on sale countless times, it's been on my wishlist ever since I got a PC strong enough to run it, but for some reason it took one of my friends asking me to play it and not the insurmountable amounts of porn to convince me. Okay, so I'm gonna start playing a new game. Oh look, a new update. You gotta understand where I'm coming from here. I was basically stuck playing the same 3 things for just about 8 years, and the novelty of rocket jumping into a mad drop or getting a cool save or waiting for something to happen every month kind of wears off after the billionth time. So it was kind of a blessing I picked this game in specific, as it reminded me, get this, good games exist. Oh my god, good games exist. Oh my god, I'm creaming. NieR Automata released all the way back in early 2017, which is 7 years ago, courtesy of Platinum Games and that one company everyone loves before they start throwing around the B word. Not to mention the amazing game that Balan Wonderland was. The joke is that it's sarcasm. It was actually a very bad game. So keep that in mind when buying this game. You're making up for NX's atrocious decision making, which is why I stole this from a local game store. It's actually weird to say, but somehow in over 7 years this game's been out, I managed to avoid spoilers like a fucking champ. God, I'm so good at this. Like, yeah, of course I knew the basics. This is to be... Huh? I should probably already mention that I don't even know how to properly approach this video without sounding like I'm a completely lost Victorian child suddenly transported to a Fortnite concert. This is one of those games that is so revered, so smashingly popular and intertwined with internet culture, and that has so much to do that I want to dig myself an open grave every time I say I have never played it and then turn that into a closed grave. So, how does NieR Automata start? Okay, I swear I was still gonna talk about the game, but before we start, I'm required by sponsorship deals to point out that my video quality looks like absolute ass, and you might know why. Basically, NieR Automata's PC port is just horrendous and needs a bunch of fan-made mods to perform at what is considered to be the way to play the game. Can you imagine if someone were to record gameplay to make a video about this game and only learned about this halfway through the story? I can. So sorry for that, but most of the video is going to be looking kind of smeared and shitty with the side of smelling like uranium. NieR Automata starts off by sending you to a hyper-dangerous mission. Only the most evil of businessmen could be capable of sending humans to. So instead, you play as Android 2B, who is conveniently designed by the Yodha boys who look like a dominatrix on high heels. I'm not complaining. You are. Apparently it's this year and the world is fucked. Wouldn't you know? So it's up to me and not me to clean this mess and figuratively, cause yeah, I didn't really kill any humans in this game, I think. Rather, the main enemies were rusted metal and allegories for religion. It's kinda like Sonic heroes, if you think about it hard enough. They're cute, everywhere, and have regional variations. It almost makes you feel sad to kill them. Almost. I quickly noticed something which I wasn't expecting prior to starting up. NieR Automata is one of the most varied games I think I've ever played, and it actually has its variety makes sense. Bullet hell shoot 'em up, third-person open-world RPG. Bullet hell third-person open-world RPG, 2.5D side-scroller, top-down. Bottoms up. Variety is the slice of life, or something. And never did it feel overwhelming, confusing, or as though I was playing a collective mishmash of different gameplay styles with no consensus as to what constitutes what. So I beat this big old thing and meet up with 9S, who is a twink and I don't care. This game is all about 2P, for now, and I'm required by contract to be third. Ooh! 9S is like a stray dog watching rotisserie chicken on the sidewalk. He's good in his own right and didn't let go of me at a single moment ever. Except when he did. But he did pose an interesting question in my mind, which became a little more annoying as I returned to the bunker. What the fuck is your smoking to design these androids? Oh, Tario, you silly goof. After this, I was sent to the main location for the rest of the game. And it took almost an hour, but the world finally opened up for exploration. And as it turns out, the main story of NieR Automata takes place in São Paulo. Long story short, as was perceived by me at the time, humans are no more because alien machines, it up to me to kill alien machine, good enough, let's get this bread. But how do I go about killing this alien machine? NieR Automata has a wide variety of 4 weapon types across I think 14 unique weapons, only 2 of which I actually used throughout my entire playthrough. Great, I am very good at exploration, thanks. There's a wide variety of flaunty combos to display which I'll just kinda boil down to the same generic variation of swing metal. But paired with the great animations, sound design, and alternate mechanics such as dodging, parrying, or launching enemies, it becomes wildly rewarding to mow your way through everyone. It becomes especially satisfying when the game does its usual thing and throws hordes of weaker enemies at you, and you gotta combine everything you know not to die. Whatever that means. Every weapon has a normal, charge, dash, run, and aerial strike, and that is good. It really is. Honestly, I'm kinda sad, because the combat is something everyone always praises about this game, and I just... well, I beat the game with the started weapon and didn't realize you could upgrade stuff until the second half of the game. It wasn't bad per se, but I feel a little as though I myself should have looked more into it. You have to find or buy a lot of these weapons, and well, I didn't do that. Not blaming the game, it's just that I played way too much Half-Life right before that. You can also change your skills according to the amount of skill points you have left. Classic, nothing new. These confer different abilities both on and off combat and even HUD changes. I personally went with a very what the fuck am I doing set. And there is also the pod and port thing, I abuse it to no end. You see, I'm a huge coward, so if I can hit the big thingy from far away without needing to come near it, by god, I'm gonna hit the big thingy from far away without needing to come near it. The pod is a fucking pea shooter, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't save me more than once. I meet up with the resistance, get side quests given to me, fall in a ravine and die. I like this. This is the sort of thing a lot of games, especially those in the open world genre, could take notes from. True exploration is letting players feel the consequences of fucking up. I jumped down here willingly, knowing more or less it's not where I should be going, fully conscious that enemies will provide a much tougher time when there was likely little means of escape were I to make the decision. I promptly got my ass blasted and had to load a previous save, and I liked it. It felt liberating to realize that there are areas in the game I really shouldn't go to just yet. Being told that you cannot go somewhere as to lock the player outside of dangerous situations is frankly insulting to my desire for a challenge, and it's something NieR Automata rarely trips on. The game is open-ended to some extent, but follows a very linear main story and does prevent you from going into new areas when you're not supposed to, but if you fuck up in a place you can already go to, that's on you. Good. Another thing I missed were side objectives. That's sad. You see, I spent most of my time over the last years just playing these 3 games, and simply put, good side objectives were a rare thing to come by. Talk to this guy, go in there, fight guys, hey, when does this change? Actually fucking never. I can pinpoint the precise moment when I noticed that I had spent too long without playing something new, about right here. It felt so refreshing, and yet it's something so basic. It's really difficult for me to properly explain what I'm thinking without taking too much of your time, so here's a multi-page long document explaining what I feel. The link will be in the description. The Resistance wants me to investigate a nearby desert. Why is there a desert nearby? Clearly the game's creators were big fans of Minecraft's world generation. Wow, this looks so granular. Oh wow, this place is so pretty, and sliding down these sand dunes is so fun. I'm gonna try that in real life. Aw. NieR Automata's world building is a complete fucking train wreck, in the best sense of the word train wreck. Why is there a carnival here? Oh, you mean the carnival located right next to the desert? Oh, you mean the desert located right next to the lush, destroyed city? Oh, you mean the lush, destroyed city located right next to the fucking castle? You can argue back and forth whether this game has inherently good graphics, and it has some pretty big struggles, especially in the PC port, but NieR Automata's art direction more than makes up for the fact I'm playing with chocolate sprinkles. It also doesn't help that I played all of this about a year ago and forgot to save the gameplay in 1080p. Which is just great, just like the music. This OST is fucking second to none. I always say that. Oh well, I think people don't really take video game OSTs all that seriously, and before that devolves into a discussion, let me say this. Would you really be willing to make this man sad? Look at him. NieR Automata's soundtrack can be summed up in a single word. It's desolate. Everything just feels hopeless when you're listening to these songs, and even moments of action have that as a lingering sensation. And you know what? I'm gonna prove it.
Ele acha, pelo menos. Será que vem vermelho pra tudo? Mais bomba.
What is supposed to be calm and resting just feels like spaced out moments for you to wonder about this world, what all of this means, what happened before and what will happen going forward, as you leave the resistance camp and make your way through the remains of what was once a thriving civilization. This soundtrack is genius. Enough said. I will not elaborate. Because I can't. I'm running out of ideas. Summing up the story of NieR Automata is likely what people felt like when first trying to piece together the timeline for the Zelda games, only it's not, and I'm being overdramatic. One area gives way to another, there's a bit of backtracking, and by the end, the game is much more open-ended so you can go in 100% stuff. It's relatively linear for the first few moments to the point where fast travel wasn't present until a few hours in. You go from the safety of the outer space bunker to a lush, abandoned city, then a volatile desert, through an apartment complex reminiscent of Qatar 2022, explore some caves, find the pretty set piece in the game, leave that feeling sad, find Pascal in their little village, feel happy, Kalabak! Find Pascal in their little village, feel happy, go to an abandoned mall, find a giant castle, a flooded city, and at some point, you find that there's a completely white city beneath your very feet that's composed of nothing but carbon and silicon, and it's all beautiful. Without the relevant plot points, this just seems like irrelevant mishmashing of artistic intentions, but as you go through and realize that this is more or less what the game aims to achieve, it becomes less jarring and more like an attempt to understand what this game means, if anything. Like, was the scene where 2B strangles 9S necessary? Can you strangle an android? Quite surprisingly, this story now comes to an end. And there certainly is not a second playthrough where you play as other characters or 26 different endings to collect. Nope, there's still a lot I haven't mentioned, and respectfully, I won't. You want me to talk about the fucking pod programs? Or that time I got stuck in the bunker because I didn't realize I had to go back to Earth from where I spawned? Or how 2B weighs 150 kilograms and still stumbles when going through bushes? Please, I have things to do. It's not like I haven't played the other endings yet. NieR Automata is what it is. It's a super intelligent and clever game whose quality can be asserted at a glance, but whose true beauty can only be analyzed with a deeper, more cautious look. It's like Yoko Taro's own version of that peer into the dark depths of my mind beam, but taken seriously. I cannot for the life of me understand how he and his team thought all of this through. Time and time again, I was under the assumption that something was going to happen, only to be presented with something so out of the box it could only come from the guy who uses this fucking thing when going out in public. At a glance, I don't think anyone can make immediate sense of this game. I didn't. People who played the first NieR games didn't. It takes skill and attention to perceive what the developers intended with the building blocks carefully placed to create the foundation for one of the best newer classics in contemporary history. All in all, not only did NieR Automata remind me how good it is to play a new game, it made me realize why people enjoy AAA releases so much. Like, okay, sure, maybe the game cannot be really considered AAA by its budget, and maybe the PC port is botched and only functions as intended with mod support, but this is the sort of masterpiece-esque quality people came to expect from, and subsequently be disappointed by, AAA games. I know I haven't played everything the game has to offer yet, but I can confidently say that NieR Automata is damn near perfect, and people need to remember this for as long as video games stay relevant. It's the sort of game you momentarily sit there after playing just hating yourself, because coming back to it for a second time will never feel as rewarding as your first playthrough. It's an astounding achievement in game design which, despite the glowing reviews, I still don't think receives the amount of love it deservedly should. It is sincerely amazing how a game that came out in a year as stacked as 2017 can be considered by so many people to not only be the best game of that year, but one of the best games ever, period. Like, honestly, think about it. In a year with Breath of the Wild, Hollow Knight, Horizon Zero Dawn, Resident Evil 7, Neo, fucking PUBG, you made a game that not only blends in with this crowd of games, but stands out. That's commendable. Games like this are also the reason why I hate these sorts of videos on YouTube which outline if you should play a game after its release. Not only because I think that question can only be answered by playing the game yourself, which makes the video completely redundant, and because the games are one of the many timeless forms of entertainment, but because yes, you should play NieR Automata in 2024 if you haven't played it yet. It's an assertion that presents little possibility for debate because this is simply timeless. It's dark, humorous, philosophical, and mindful, but you can just ignore most of that and still be presented with an unforgettable experience, and I'm so happy to have finally played it. I'll play the remaining endings and then wait 50 years before playing it again.